Prayers.
Almighty God, who in thy wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of rulers and parliament for the welfare of society and just government of men, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this land. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this house assembled. Grant us that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner to promote thy honor and glory, to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country and of those whose interests thou hast committed to our church. Amen.
Communication from the Chair.
Honorable members, today's sitting marks the end of this ordinary session. That is the second ordinary session of the Assembly in the 2023 legislative year. This session was precisely a 3-week ordinary session with lots of businesses. This session also witnessed the State of the Nation address, SONA, by His Excellency the President of the Republic, and other legislative processes of critical bills, one of which is already passed by this Assembly, including other important motions and reports. Honorable members, as has always been said, the business of the plenary can never be exhausted. We will therefore today start the motion on the adjournment debate to adjourn this ordinary session sine die. Therefore, I wish to welcome His Excellency the Vice President and all honorable ministers here in present to attend this very important sitting of the Assembly, being the adjournment debate. This is a unique sitting of the Assembly at the end of each ordinary session, allowing honorable members the opportunity to discuss and debate on cross-cutting issues, which of course requires the attention of the executive. At the appropriate time of the debate, I will invite His Excellency the Vice President and the honorable ministers to also participate in the debate and respond to issues raised regarding their portfolios. Honorable members, in this circumstance, we will sit to finish the adjournment debate today. The Office of the Clerk shall provide the necessary meals, that's dinner, especially to some of our Jaranka friends. Thank you very much, honorable ministers, honorable members, Your Excellency, the Vice President and honorable ministers. Clerk, we may now proceed.
Correction and approval of records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 21st June 2023.
Honorable members, the record of votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 21st June 2023 is before us for correction and approval. Can any honorable member please move a motion for the correction and approval of the said record of votes and proceedings? Honorable Member for Jara West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 21st June 2023 be considered and approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any seconder, honorable members? Honorable Member for Same.
Thank you. I rise to second the motion.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 21st June 2023 be considered and approved. Any issues or observations from honorable members are welcome. We honorable members, I think we all have copies of the record of votes and proceedings. As usual, we will look through it page by page, beginning with page 1. Any honorable member who wants? Honorable member for Basse?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On question for oral answers on the number 8, Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture. But you put Honorable Minister for Tourism and Culture. Arts should be there.
On page 1?
Page 1.
Item number 3, question for oral answers. Number 8, he's saying Honorable Minister for Tourism and Culture is what we have. It should be Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture. Are we fine? Page 1. Yes, Honorable Olundum.
No, I wanted to confirm. I don't know to arts. I don't think arts is part of the. It's correct. Arts and culture. No, it should have been utensils.
What? Yes. Who's spoken? The chair of tourism. Where is he? Honorable.
Yes. I said it's arts and culture. It's part of it.
So, honorable members, let's take note. But we now move to page 2. Honorable member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Page 2, as the Deputy Speaker will always address me as member for Banjul South. Number 40, Honorable Fatumata Njai is member for Banjul South and not member for Banjul North. Honorable Modula Mimba is the only member for Banjul North.
It's true. You said number?
40.
40.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Honorable Fatumata Njai is member for Banjul South. Yeah. Any honorable member for Banjul North. I hope yours is correct. Your consequence is
no, mine is correct. But it is also okay if you can give me 2 constituencies at the same time.
Honorable members, we now move to page 3. Sanimentary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On page 3, number 3, questions for oral answers. And under Roman number 1, you have question number 009, 2023 by Honorable Member Fufonyi Bintankaranai. Asked, answered, and generated 5 supplementary questions which were answered. Asked, answered, S is added and it should be deleted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noted. Any more on page 3 rather? Honorable nominated member, Keba Lam Fofana.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, under the following members were absent without permission. My name is listed. I did try contacting you, but I couldn't get you, so I decided to call the Deputy Speaker and get permission from him. Thank you.
Deputy Speaker, will you confirm that? Yeah?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Number 56. Be moved to those absent with permission. We now move to page 4. Page 5. Jara Central, member for Jara Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I know you like troubling Jarankas, but we are your genius, your seniors, rather. Yeah. We are your seniors. Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Question number 149 of 2023 by the Honorable Member for Joshua. If you read that last paragraph, Honorable Member for BANJUL Central and was referred to the Minister. The article D was missing there. Thank you.
That's the last one, question number 149 of 2023. The second line, Honorable Member for BANJUL Central, and was referred to D. He said the article THE should come before the Minister. Who? BANJUL South?
No, it's okay. It's fine.
Honorable members, we now move to page 6. BANJUL not?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On page 6, question number 107 of 2023 by Honorable Member for Bakau and not Baku.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Wuli East.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Same problem. Question number 172. They say it's Honorable Member for Upper. So it should be Upper Salum, I believe, that asked that question. Upper Salum.
Honorable members, question number 172 of 2023. Honorable Member for Upper Ad Salum. You see? Any more on page 6? All right, we now move to page 7. BANJUL South.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the question I asked, 126, it says asked, answered, and generated 2 supplementary questions. I will not say answered. I will say insufficiently answered, for that matter. Thank you.
The reference here is all questions were answered or not answered. Honorable Member for Wuli East.
Yes, thank you. Honorable Speaker, we took a trend. If you look at 124, at the tail end of the second line, which were answer. So it should be in the past tense. And that trend should continue wherever. And then if you go to the last one, 130 also, it was 1 supplementary question, which was, not where, which was answered. I think those are the,
124, where you have the last line, questions which were answers, it should be ED, and wherever it appears, isn't it? Huh?
No, that is one problem, but if you go to the 125, it only says generated 3 supplementary questions, but which were answered was missing, that phrase.
Yeah, I think it should be added.
So which were answered should be there, and then wherever it is missing, because it's many places missing in the text.
Yeah, basically, if the principal question generate supplementary questions, they are either answered or not answered. It should be stated. What about 126? It's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right. And the last one, go ahead.
130. The last, the second line is which were answered. It should not be which were because it's only 1 supplementary. So it should be which was. The where should be changed to was.
Okay.
Yes, you've seen it.
It was 1 supplementary question, and therefore, instead of where, WAS. Huh? Thank you, Honorable Member for Wuli East. Table office, you are noting these things down. We now move to page 8. Honorable Member for Humanitarian.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. For question number 151-2023 by Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang Karanai. And question was withdrawn by the Honorable Member. Can't we frame it in a way that we can say question, Honorable Member for Fonyi Bintang Karanai asked a question and it was withdrawn?
What it meant is it was not asked.
Okay. All right, I understood. Thank you.
Honorable members, can we now move to page 9? Yeah, sorry. Yes. Honorable Member for Jara Central.
Thank you once again, Honorable Speaker. I think the member for Sanamentering would have just said to add the Article D to be more specific with regard to that particular situation. The word Article D should be added before the question. to say the question was withdrawn by the honorable member. Thank you.
Do we put the Article D? Honorable member, I'm listening. Okay. On 150, question number 151, the question was withdrawn by the honorable member. Question on page 9 now, honorable members. Page 9. Yes, Wuli East.
Page 9, question number 143, second line, between supplementary and questions at the tail end, there is 2. That 2 is not, I don't think it's necessary. Is it 2 questions or 4 questions? Because they put 2 and then put. I believe that 2 should be removed.
Whatever it is, the 2 should go out from where it is. And whether it is now 4 or 2 questions is the question. Which one? 4 questions. Okay. Please note it down and correct that. Any more on page 9? We move to the last page, page 10. Foni Kansala.
Honorable Speaker, I want us to look at various questions, ranging from question number 196 to 134 and 197. In 196 says, Honorable Member for Fonyi Bakau, Honorable Member for Fonyi Banjul Central, and Honorable Member, Member for Fonyi Banjul North. So I don't know whether the Fonyi is taking over the Banjul City and Bakau.
Honorable members, question number 196. Member for Bakau, is it for you? Is it for the Fonyi should be out? Am I right?
I want to ask a question whether these things are written by people or it is automated system. Because what the honorable member for council is saying is I don't understand it. Whether people write this or it's automated as we speak. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, question number 196. Is it member for Fonyi or member for Bakau? It's member for Bakau. So the Fonyi should be out. It should be honorable member for Bakau. And then on question number 134, Fonyi Banjul Central. The Fonyi should be out. And 197, Fonyi Banjul North, the Fonyi should be out. Am I right?
Should be out.
The Fonyi could not win one area. Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Fonyi Kansala. Any more observations on page 10? No. Huh? Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 24th June 2023 be approved with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. I thank you all. Honorable members, I now invoke Section 14.3 of the standing orders for us to change the order of business necessitated by urgent circumstances, that instead of beginning with the Health Ministry, we begin with the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. Clerk, please note down and announce.
Orders 47, 48, and 100, oral minister's reply. Minister's reply to the report of the National Assembly Select Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture, Youth and Sport visit to sporting facilities and tourism sites across the country, 17 to 25th October 2022, by the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Clerk. Honorable members, after the adoption of the Select Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture, Youth and Sports, visit to sporting facilities and tourist sites across the country from the 17th to the 25th of October 2022, in the previous session, the report was submitted to government, and in particular, the Honorable Ministers for Tourism, Arts and Culture, and the Ministry of Youth and Sports, respectively, for their consideration and reply as per Order 100 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly. Accordingly, the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture is scheduled today for a reply to the report. May I now invite the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture to take the podium and make his statement.
Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, honorable members, I read the report of the Select Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture and Sports, Youth and Sports, and understood the report very well, and appreciated the job that was done by honorable members. And the concern raised, well understood, and indeed, my ministry have already started in earnest to look at some of the recommendations by way of implementing them as soon as the resources, some of them deserve resources, and we're engaging the Minister of Finance, and some of the issues, in fact, we have already started discussing with the Finance Minister to see how best we can address them. One of them is the issue of the Mungo Park memorial sites that the contractor yet still to complete works on the project. Reason being, we didn't have the money to pay him to complete the job. And the finance minister have agreed to provide that money so that the contractor can be paid and complete the job. The other issue they raised is about the access road to the sites. That can only be dealt with in the 2024 budget, which of course will be before the honorable member for consideration and approval at the material time. The other issues also raised with regards to the works that's ongoing in the lodges that they visited, so to Masare, Kankiling, and of course the one in Bara. I'm happy to report that the Soto Masare one is completed. There was a variation regarding the fencing of the area, and the Gambia Tourism Board is in discussion with the GPPA to identify a contractor to fence the areas. And the one in Bara now, also works is ongoing, and the ministry have requested the Gambia Tourism Board to provide funds to the contractor for him to complete that job. It's not been an easy task, but I think finally we're getting there with regards to these lodges. And the other issues raised, as far as I'm concerned, was the issue of Kintakunte Island, which is James Island, as it is known to some of us. I think they talked about the disappearing of this great asset of our country. I want to inform the honorable members, out of the World Bank $68 million, almost 40-something million dollars will be invested in the restoration of James Island. It is taking the chunk of the money. Subsequent governments have tried repeatedly to access funds to fix that island, unfortunately have not succeeded. But we succeeded in getting that money. So I can assure honorable members that there will be an international tender through the World Bank and the government of the Gambia for the Kunta Kinte Island to be restored to its originality. And I think that would be one of our greatest achievements as a government in preserving one of our greatest sites, that which is, of course, a UNESCO site, heritage site. With regards to other sites, regard access to jetties, and the rest of it is all part of the component of the World Bank component. When we were negotiating this project, we decided to make sure that we put everything holistically before the World Bank. And that was, we thought it was a good idea, and of course, the World Bank bought in for it. And today that would address some of the issues that we have. Our ongoing works in making sure that some of our historic sites are covered. Some of them will be done by government, because the Kirbach site was sponsored by the government of the Gambia in our normal budgetary allocation, which was in the national budget. Wasu, the same thing. The same thing with the issue of Mongo Park. So all other ones in the country, we've got an inventory of them, will be done through the government of the Gambia. However, there were some serious omissions that I've discovered that the committee did not take into account. And I just want to bring it to the attention of the committee. That is the Gambia Tourism Hospitality Institute, the training facilities that we have provided for our rural Gambians. That is, the branches they have in Farafenni was not visited. Students were not approached. The branch that we have in Janjambure was not visited. It was also omitted. And I think we have trained so many people, but we still face some serious challenges where those trained, instead of staying in the rural area, despite of availability of job, they prefer coming down to the urban area. And that we still feel is a concern that needs to be addressed. Some of them get married and abandon the profession. They tend to leave, which is a natural thing, part of our tradition and culture we cannot avoid. Mr. Chairman, I must commend the committee for a job well done. And I think this type of visits, this type of jobs would also put us on the toes to make sure that the executive is aware of part of its responsibility to remind us what needs to be done and how it should be done. Mr. Chairman, also Mr. Speaker, I'm ready to answer any question relating to the report, because I have read the report throughout and understood all the contents of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, pursuant to Order 48.6 of the Standing Orders, and I quote, after the statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, which shall last no more than 1 hour, may then ensue. The Speaker shall determine the period, taking into consideration the content of the statement, the number of members wishing to ask questions, and of course, the pressure of other businesses. We're going to continue for the adjournment debate, honorable members, immediately after this. May I now invite honorable members to ask questions relating to the minister's statement. We're starting with honorable member for Brikama North. That's the minority leader?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Minister for responding to the report of the committee. However, as a committee, I would put to the Honorable Minister, I know he said he has gone thoroughly over the report, but I advise that you take the points one by one for action point, because in terms of implementation, the committee will follow up the points one by one to ensure the implementation of each of them. I'm sorry, in your response, we may not have covered everything precisely, but for the implementation, we will be actually following the points one after the other to ascertain or confirm the implementation. Where I did not get you dilating on is on the issue surrounding Fort Bullen. Fort Bullen is an historic site. Management of that particular site has been a concern to the committee. There are challenges, and how those challenges will be addressed, we would like you to shed light on that, as well as other historic sites. Maybe they are part of your response, but because you did not capture everything. That is the Cherbat Stone Circle and at Wasu. That was also another historic site where we faced
Honorable Member, why don't you ask one question at a time, and then
we are only limited to a question or something like that.
You asking questions one over at the end of the time. After yours, we will close off for another person. So just ask a question, let him answer it, and somebody also is given a chance to ask another question.
Thank you very much. Then let me get the question from Fort Bullen. Honorable Speaker, among the recommendations that we made surrounding Fort Bullen, about 3 of them is the issue of incentive or financial support to the tour guides, whether your ministry is considering to ensure the tour guides and the management that are at this particular site are given incentives for proper management of the site.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me say the member for Birkama North that yes, Fort Bullen was one of the areas that your committee talked about. Fort Bullen is a very sad story. It is a UNESCO heritage site, one of the few we have in the Gambia. But unfortunately, it was tampered with by the previous regime. They took cement, plastered the facility, the building, which is totally against UNESCO. And therefore, the ministry is now doing what it takes to make sure that it is restored to originality. And this require specialists in this area who are trained, who have the ability to restore sites to their originality. It costs a lot of money. We are trying to see how best we can squeeze this within the World Bank project to get experts to help restore Fort Bullen to its originality, because that cement that was applied on that wall could have even got the project, the site be deregistered by UNESCO. However, government have communicated to them our intention to make sure that we deal with the issue of Fort Bullen. That's one thing. Secondly, the lodge that has been built there, we are providing boutiques around that area where those players would have access to those shops, would also be gaining revenue by making sure visitors who come there can spend the night in the lodge and yet still can buy some items, and tourists who come there will also buy some items. And the museum also there is under restoration. We are trying to rebuild it. The materials are kept safe, but you must understand that the law of the NCAC does not allow anybody to move any item beyond 80 meters without the approval of the President of the Republic, because these are national assets that must be preserved. Whatever we do, we must do everything possible to work within the law, with the provision of the law. But I can assure you that we are doing everything possible to encourage those who are there. They've been trained, some of them have been trained. Some of them, when they are on their own volition, not even been trained, misinforming, misrepresenting visitors. And that's what the ministry is dealing with now. We had a situation like that in Wasu, and indeed in that place. So the ministry, the NCAC is now training tour guides who will understand the content and the historic aspect of those sites, so that when people come to visit, they are given accurate information. The training have started, and we believe that in the next 6 months, 1 year, we'll have tour guides who are well trained, who understood and know very well the content of the environment that they are working with. But be rest assured that Fort Blaine is on top of government's priority, because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Central Badibu.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister is not giving us data as far as implementation of these projects are concerned. You talk about the works at Sotumasire, you said it's completed, then you talk about the fencing. You talk about Bara, work is ongoing. If you say ongoing, at what percentage? We need to be informed. And you talk of Kunta Kinte Island. In 2018, there was a budget allocation for Kunta Kinte Island, revamping that island. Where is the fund? This National Assembly passed a budget on it. So you have to inform us. And if you look at Standing Order 100, it says, a minister who fails to submit a report under this standing order shall be deemed to be contempt of the National Assembly within the meaning of Section 75 of the Constitution. So, Honorable Minister, the information that you are giving us, it means you are speaking in parable. We want empirical data as far as the report is concerned. And your answers are not making us to learn anything.
Speaker.
All right, Honorable Minister. Honorable, can you be specific with your question?
Specific question is, he said the Bara works is ongoing. At what level? We need to be informed. The second part of the question is, James Island, he said he secured, first time in the history, Gambia secured international funding. But I'm asking him, what of the budget allocation that this National Assembly allocated for revamping James Island? We need to be informed about that.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me put it abundantly clear to the Honorable Honorable Member for Central Badibu. I will be the last minister not to respect Parliament and parliamentary procedures. When I get into this chamber, I become emotional. It's a chamber that I have spent part of my political life. And I know I had players and friends and colleagues and loved ones. The likes of you, Abu Karamba Kasama, Tamsir Jallo, Musa Njados, many of them, who today have, some of them passed away. The Sidia Jatas, the Kemeseng Jammeh, the Halifa Salas, I can name a list of it. It's my greatest place to be when I come here. And I have the highest respect and regard for this August Assembly. So to intimate or try to impute that, I will totally disagree.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
I'm coming. Allow me to
The point of order. The Honorable Minister is deviating.
All right. When you put up a point of order,
Order 100,
you quote the relevant standing orders, and then put up a point of order based on that.
Order 100.
Order 100.
The 101 is saying, within 30 days of a resolution of the National Assembly or adoption of any report of a committee, the minister under whose portfolio the matter raised in the report or contained in the assurance or resolution fall shall provide a reply to the National Assembly. We are not talking about Abu Karamba Kasama or Sidia Jata here. Give us the reply.
Honorable member, I think he's providing the response. I think he is responding to a standing order probably that you have quoted, and that's why he added those parts to it. But he's supposed to answer the question, and he will answer the question.
Let me continue by assuring the member for Central Badibu. The amount of money required to restore James Island can never be provided by the Gambia government. I totally disagree with him that there was money provided to restore James Island to its originality by this National Assembly, and I want you to bring me those figures before me. Bring me the figures. I totally disagree with you.
Honorable Minister, you speak to the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the honorable member what he is saying never happened. It did not. This assembly, this government did not provide money in 2018 for the restoration of James Island. Kunta Kinte now. Totally. The other question is, some of the issues raised have some financial implications. When it is not budgeted, you cannot get the money. This is the institution that is responsible of budgeting government resources, indicating how they are spent. What I can assure this assembly, in our next budget, some of the issues raised will be addressed in our budget to be presented to the Minister of Finance for onwards transmission to the National Assembly. Because we know that these are important national assets that must be restored and that must be cared for. Thank you.
Point of order. Point of order. Yes, 56.
56?
Yes. Honorable Speaker, I want to remind Honorable Minister. I say motion 56. Yes, I say 56. Let me put this.
Is it 5-6? 5-6. Yeah, motion on censure, okay. Which 56 what?
56A.
56?
1A.
1A.
Well, yeah, I will start from 1. Yes. Honorable Speaker, 1 reads, the Assembly may pass a motion of censure against a minister or a vice president, supported by 2/3 of all the members, on the grounds of his or her inability arising from any cause to perform the functions of his or her duty. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister is not giving us the information that I asked from him. I asked him about
Honorable member, your order is not sustained. Your point of order is not sustained.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, can we now proceed to the member for Kiang West? We have a few more minutes to go and we are proceeding. Please, let's make maximum use of the time. Kiang West.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much.
Speaker. West. He's on this floor. Huh? Please, Kiang West, take the floor.
Honorable Speaker, I'm on the floor.
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker.
Lower side, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker. No. Yeah, member for lower side.
Honorable Speaker, what? You have not said anything. Honorable Speaker. Point of order, observation, or what? Observation, Honorable Speaker. Honorable member.
I mean clarification, Honorable Speaker.
Clarification on what?
Yes.
On what?
The member mentioned that the Honorable Minister...
Which member?
Central Badibu.
No, Honorable, please.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to complete.
Honorable. Honorable, the member for Central Badibu stood on a point of order and is ruled out. So whatever he said is ruled out. Yes, Honorable Member for Kiang West, please.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, in your response, you've indicated that there is a World Bank project of 60 million. 68, perfect. And good chunk of that, 40 million plus, is going to be used for the restoration of Kunta Kinte Island. This money seems very huge. Could you shed light on the restoration of James Island? Because this money is very huge, and as well, the contract of this restoration, which company have you given it to?
Honorable Speaker, I'm happy to inform the Honorable Member for Kiang West, no contract has been given to. This will be an international tender administered by the World Bank, because every member of the World Bank will be entitled to apply. These are technical details with a lot of expertise that are necessary and needed to get this done. You know that 100%, there is no Gambian company that would have that capacity, even the equipment. So I cannot go give you details when I don't know exactly how the tender will be floated, what will be the requirement based on scientific specification that the experts may indicate. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankunku.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question will come on the issue of the Mongo Park project. Yesterday, the minister made a parliamentary answer, and then today also he have made the same comment on this issue of Mongo Park. So I just wanted to find out, because a project, before a project is done, there must be a feasibility study done. Then designing will be done. So far, if there is any necessary tendering will be done. So I wanted to know, how was this project designed, knowing you don't have the financial capability? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, the Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankungu constituency. The contract was duly signed in accordance with the laws of the Gambia, executed through the National Center for Arts and Culture. The BOQ was done, the bill of quantity was properly designed, done, and executed. However, during the process of implementation, the money allocated by this assembly to us could not meet up the cost of this contract. Our allocation were cut down. We have one of the smallest budgets. I can also tell you, even by as we speak, we have less than 20% of our budget given to us by this August body. So we couldn't pay because it was not there. What we have to do is to go and follow the minister to see how he can raise money for us through the member for Sami constituents who have been following us on this matter. And the minister have agreed to provide the funds, as I said yesterday, for us to pay the contractor to complete this project. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Latrikunda Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Nyamina West nearly took all the words from my mouth, but actually he didn't mention a very good aspect of it. Honorable Minister, projects start from feasibility studies, consultants get hired, prepare the request for proposal or request for quotation, then the bidding document. Now, what he did not ask you is who is the consultant who has done the request for proposal or the feasibility studies, because you cannot award a contract, civil works contract, without a consultant who will be hired to do the design and the request for proposal. Who is this consultant, Honorable Minister? Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the member for Latrikunda constituent that I don't have the name of the consultant, but I can find out and give it to you. And I know that it went through due process as required by law.
Honorable Member for Jara Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, my question would be in relation to the people you train in the rural Gambia, until you made a mention of challenges that you had because they are leaving the rural Gambia, coming to the urban places for greener pasture. So what is your ministry doing, or what can your ministry do in order to retain these people to the various places you train them? Thank you.
Very important question, the Honorable Member for Jara Central. We are trying to engage some of the facility owners to increase their pace to these people so that they can be encouraged. The benefits that they enjoy from this part of the urban area can be enjoyed in the rural area. By way of that, we are trying to encourage them. And we also try to encourage investors to build more facilities in the urban area, in the rural area, so that we can discourage this rural-urban drift. And I think a couple of members of parliament have approached us. And we are now encouraging some of our investors who are inquiring to invest in the provinces to make sure that they do a lot more investment, that we can retain these people who are trained. But sometimes it is difficult because it becomes a personal choice where you want to be and where you want to work. We can only make it possible by way of persuasion and encouragement.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Bakau.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you talked about the ongoing project at Mongo Park. I'm sure you will agree with me that there is a problem with the access road to the park itself. Was this not an oversight on the side of the ministry to develop the park rather than concentrating on the access road?
The Honorable Member for Bakau, let me inform you. I have been there before you. It took me almost 1 hour plus walking on foot to access that site, prior to even considering rebuilding that site, because we were getting a lot of inquiries from Scottish citizens in Great Britain regarding this site. And I felt it was important government gets engaged and do something. I personally went there, and I know the difficulty in accessing that place, and I know the trouble I went through. But at the time, if you had wanted to include the road, when the money was not available, you will never get the site built. But when you build the road now, strategically, there must be access. And that's why we are now targeting, making sure in our next budget, we work with the Ministry of Works to make sure that that road is built. What standard they would build it, I cannot tell you. But be rest assured that you cannot have that facility built the way it is built when you don't have an access road. You know, in management, you need to draw strategies. If I were to sit and wait for the road to be built, I would never build that site. But once the site is built, there must be a road. So we are waiting for that. So when the budget comes to the Honorable Assembly here, we want you to support that process of making sure that this access road in that area, it is provided funds for, and we make sure that at least tourists will start visiting there by creating job restaurants and other facilities in that part of the Gambia. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Member for Wuli East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Minister mentioned $68 million for the rehabilitation of James Island.
No, I went to 40. 40 million plus, not 60.
40 million plus. Yes, my question is, this 40 million will be provided by the World Bank. under what, is it a loan? Is it a grant? If it is not, from what source would this money be generated? And how soon will we?
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the Honorable Member for Wuli East, my brother and friend. We struggled together since 1981, and we have a slogan called "The Struggle Continues," that it is a 100% grant to the government of the Gambia.
Thank you.
When we go to seek money, we seek for grants and not loans. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Sami.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I will be unfair if I don't thank the committee for a job well done when they went to visit that area. We have visited the place during the 5th legislature, but this time also, the committee also took it upon themselves. They visited the area. And Honorable Speaker, this project was signed 29th April 2022. Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
okay,
you
now what I want
question.
to ask, Honorable Speaker, is that the project is delayed, yes. But what I want to hear from the Honorable Minister is that which month is the contractor going to decide?
Honorable Speaker, I don't understand the real question of the member for Sami constituency, sir.
What I'm asking is that which month is the contractor now going to decide in order to complete the construction? Which month?
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the honorable member for Sami constituency that once the contractor gets the money, he will deliver. He's one of the best contractors in this country. I can assure you that. If I can get the money from finance, and I'm very optimistic that I will get this money as soon as possible. You are every day in my office about this money. You know the pressure you're putting on me to get this money. As soon as the money is made available, the contractor will be paid and he will complete.
Honorable Member for BANJUL South. Honorable Member for BANJUL South is out. Honorable members, let me once again thank the Honorable Minister for his response to the motions tabled earlier, and honorable members for your questions and participation. Honorable Minister, thank you very much. I think we can now release you to go. All right, Honorable Clerk, can we now proceed?
Order 100, oral Minister's reply. Minister's reply to the report of the National Assembly Select Committee on Health, Disaster, Humanitarian Relief, and Refugees visit to some health centers, regional health directorates, and disaster hotspot areas across the country, 29 June to 6 July 2022, by the Honorable Minister for Health.
Honorable members, after the adoption of the report of the Health Committee's visit to some health centers, regional health directorates, and the disaster hotspot areas across the country, from the 29th of June to the 6th of July 2022, during the previous session, the report was submitted to government, in particular the Ministry for Health, for consideration and response as per Order 100 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly. Accordingly, therefore, the Honorable Minister for Health is scheduled today to reply to the report. May I now invite the Honorable Minister for Health to take the podium and make his statement. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Honorable Speaker and National Assembly members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond to the report tabled here by the Select Committee on Health, Disaster, Humanitarian Relief, and Refugees. on its visit to some health centers, regional health directorates, and disaster hotspots across areas across the country. First and foremost, I would like to thank the committee for the comprehensive work carried out in many of these facilities, and this certainly has brought to the fore some of the challenges that we already are aware of, and some others that probably were not to our notice. We thank the committee for bringing them forth. And it also gives us the opportunity to look inwards and see where adjustments can be done. And equally speaking, putting the ministry and the staff on the toes from the administrative level, and also the staff at the health facilities, since we all know the select committee is always ready to go to the facilities to inspect. Honorable Speaker, the report is comprehensive, and they have identified challenges and made recommendations. Some of the recommendations are specific to certain institutions, others are general recommendations. Would like to start by commenting on the institutional recommendations. The Regional Directorate of North Bank West Region, Health Region at SL. Our response is the Ministry of Health is negotiating with the Cuban government for more doctors, especially specialist doctors in obstetrics and gynecology, surgery, anesthesia, etc. This step will increase the number of doctors not only in the region but across the country. The shortfall of our monthly allocation, number 2, Honorable Speaker, just give me a second, let me get the actual point so that it will be easy to correlate. Honorable Speaker, if I may, if I could now skip to the general recommendations whilst my team brings forth the actual recommendations for the specific institutions. Otherwise, the understanding will be vague whilst I go through the general recommendations. Honorable Speaker. Thank you. The general recommendations, number 1, the Ministry of Health to post more specialized, more qualified and specialized doctors in all the regions. Our response, this is the aim of the ministry. That is why we are training, this is why training in specialization has started nationally. And in the short term, we are requesting for more specialists from Cuba through the Office of the President. The ministry would like additional support from the Assembly with regards to improving the staff accommodation and benefits to facilitate posting of more staff. We'll put this in the 2024 proposed budget. Number 2, fuel supply and maintenance of all community ambulances in the regions. Our response, the ministry continues to endeavor to meet this demand, but there are occasional delays in receiving funds allocated for such, and this interrupts the services briefly. Efforts are being made to reduce these situations to the barest minimum. Recommendation 3 is to scale up the number of nurses in the regions with motivation packages. Our response is we have increased the intake in our facilities, in our training facilities by 200%. This will help improve the inadequacy. We will work on the incentives with the Personnel Management Office. Number 4, build good accommodation for both the regional health directorates and facility staff in all the regions. Our response is the Global Fund will soon carry out a comprehensive assessment of all the public health facilities in the country in terms of services, infrastructure, equipment, and personnel. This will give us the basis for a comprehensive upgrading of all facilities with the help of the government and partners. This is part of the plans of the Ministry of Health, and some work has been done in the Lower River region. And through the World Bank, we are working on changing the dilapidated asbestos roofs in all such places. 12 facilities, Brikama District Hospital, Biam Hospital, Kiankarantaba Health Center, Mansakonko Regional Health Directorate and Staff Quarters, Farifenya Regional Health Directorate and Staff Quarters, Kaur Health Center, Kudang Health Center, Brikamaba Health Center, Bansang Hospital and Staff Quarters, the State Enrolled Nurses School in Bansang, the RHD in Bansang and Staff Quarters, Basse District Hospital, Yorubao Health Center will have the asbestos roofs removed and replaced with standard roofs. 8 of these facilities will also undergo complete renovation. Recommendation 5, for Riders for Health to replace the old ambulances in the region, that are the ambulances that are not roadworthy. Our response is this is part of the contract of the Riders for Health, but our ministry needs to be up to date with all the areas before such can be enforced. This is being followed up with the Ministry of Finance for support. Recommendation 6, the Regional Health Directorate to be separated from SL District Hospital to allow expansion for both institutions. Our response is this is a major restructuring, and it is not part of the immediate plans, but among our long-term plans. Recommendation 7, Ministry of Health to post more trained nurses, midwives, and laboratory personnel to the regions. Our response is that we are working towards this by introducing such courses in laboratory science and nursing at the university to help these specialized staff, to have these specialized staff in the regions as well. 8, reproductive and child health clinics to be provided with new ambulances and vehicles for tracking. Our response is that we have recently received from some vehicles from our partners, and this will help in mitigating that problem. We received 14 vehicles and 30 motorbikes from UNICEF, from the government of Japan through UNICEF, and this will go a long way in alleviating the problems. Number 9, the Ministry of Health to ensure adequate drug supply to all regions. Our response is that this is being done for essential drugs through our centralized procurement system, and the funds from the RBF are being used to fill in the gaps. 10, good retention allowance for those willing to go to the regions as a motivation package. Our response is that this will be worked on through a provincial allowance. The hardship allowance is already designed in such a way, but the pull factor to the regions is still not significant. Recommendation 11, regular allocation of interest for the operation of the regional offices and cash power for regional staff. Our response is that the RBF should be able to provide basic needs of the regions, and the central level will take care of the cash powers. We have put in the budget for the regions to be allocated funds, but this has not been forthcoming. Recommendation 12, the provision of special equipment like abdominal scanning machines, ECG machines, and train the staff on their usage. Our response is that this is being done periodically and strategically. Thank you very much. Various recommendations were made, as I mentioned earlier, with regards to specific facilities. For the Eseo District Hospital, it was recommended to replace the Cuban gynecology doctor who left some months ago and to increase the number of Gambian doctors in the region. And our response is that the ministry is negotiating with the Cuban government for more doctors, especially specialist doctors in obstetrics and gynecology, surgery, anesthesia, etc. This step will increase the number of doctors not only in the regions but across the country. The second point has been, or was, the regular provision of fuel and maintenance services for the fleet of the community ambulances in the region. This is said to be critical to ensure quick service delivery and the longevity of the vehicles. Our response is that the shortfall of our monthly allocation and allocation for the RFH, that's Riders for Health, equipment and maintenance vote is making services very difficult for the ministry to do regular maintenance of the ambulances, replacement of old RFH ambulances and trekking vehicles, and build new regional directorate health headquarters. For the Kercherno Hospital, Kercherno Health Center, it was recommended that the Ministry of Health post more trained nurses, midwives, and laboratory personnel to the center. And our answer is, the Ministry of Health is currently training more nurses at the Community Health Nurses School and the state enrolled nurses schools with 200% increment of the annual intake. More nurses are being trained in the postgraduate training program in midwifery and in pediatric and perioperative nursing at the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences at the University of the Gambia. In addition, lab technicians are undergoing training at the School of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, the University of the Gambia. All these are to improve services through the improvement of human resources for health. For Kuntaur Health Center, it was recommended that the Ministry of Health to post more qualified healthcare workers with attractive salaries as a form of motivation. Our response is that the Ministry of Health, with the support of the World Bank, just a second, I'll take that again. And the second recommendation was for the Ministry of Health to allow the facility to employ staff such as watchmen, nurse attendants, and health laborers, among others, to the Regional Health Directorate, and also to establish the basic laboratories facilities to offer services such as full blood count, renal function test, liver function test, radiological services, as well as transfusion in the facility, being the only major health center in CRR North. Equally, to purchase a trekking vehicle and a new ambulance in addition to the old one, as well as to fast-track the reconstruction of the former OPD by allowing the RHD to make the necessary follow-ups with the relevant institutions. Equally speaking, to engage the Gambia Ports Authority ferry services to ensure there is uninterrupted services, especially at night, Otherwise, a ferry ambulance be made constantly available to ferry patients in critical conditions. And finally, the MOA to ensure the timely payment of the RBF funds. Our response, the Ministry of Health, with support from the World Bank and Global Fund, is procuring radiology and laboratory equipment and consumables for all of our health facilities to do basic laboratory services and for hospitals to do advanced lab services and imaging investigations. We are also currently recruiting more support staff like orderlies, securities, laborers, watchmen, and nurse attendants. The Ministry of Health will continue to engage the GPA services to ensure ferry services to ensure that there is uninterrupted services, especially at night. Our ministry will also consider the possibility of engaging partners to procure ferry ambulances to ease the burden of ferry crossing, especially at night. Mechanisms are in place to ensure early payment of the RBF subsidies. Distinguished Honorable Speaker, I thank you for your kind attention. This is our response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, pursuant to Order 48.6 of the Standing Orders, which I now quote, after the statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, which shall last no more than 1 hour, may then ensue. The Speaker shall determine the period, taking into consideration the content of the statement, the number of members wishing to ask questions, and the pressure of other businesses. Let's all keep that in mind, honorable members. May I now invite honorable members to ask the questions relating to the minister's statement. Honorable member for Lower Nyumi. Lower Nyumi is not in.
Yeah, I'm around. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to thank the Honorable Minister for that wonderful deliberation. Definitely, I appreciate your deliberation, and you're really doing good. My question is about those ambulances you mentioned that you've received, that's 14 ambulances. Is First Njagachoy Health Center is going to be allocated with one and to replace that of the community ambulance for Tuba Angale? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. The 14 vehicles are actually mainly going to be trekking vehicles. This will release the pressure on the ambulances because, as we know, in some areas the ambulances are used to carry the sick people, but equally speaking, if our staff are leaving a health facility to go into the communities to carry out immunization services, they use the ambulances, which is not ideal. So we thought we should separate them so that the ambulances stay in the facilities to carry out their work whilst these vehicles. So we hope to get more ambulances from partners, then this will be considered that time. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Brikama South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I just want to inquire when actually is Brikama District Hospital going to be built? Specific time.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I do not know exactly when, but various steps have already taken place. The concept design has already been done. The land has been secured, and then, well, the land was secured first before the concept design, and they're now doing the architectural design. So how long, but we're hoping before the end of this year That's our hope, that the foundation stone will be laid, inshallah. Yeah, thank you.
Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for fulfilling Standing Order 100 by coming here to respond to our recommendation. But listening to your response, I will also want to know, is there any future between the Ministry of Health and Riders for Health? Understanding that there is a lot of areas that the ministry is currently owing the Riders for Health. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Is there any future?
Is there any future between the Ministry of Health and Riders for Health? Understanding the areas that the ministry is currently owing the Riders for Health.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think the arrangement between the Ministry of Health and Riders for Health, in as much as there had been complaints in the past and even at present, but I think the issue is sometimes if we do without something, then we wonder what the alternative could be. So that is the situation. Because the ministry is in no position to manage that fleet of vehicles. If you want, if ministry will have to manage these ambulances, it's a nightmare situation. So the Riders for Health arrangement, certainly we believe is a good arrangement. We need to keep on reviewing it, and we need to keep on monitoring to ensure that the right things are carried out. The area issue is because of funding challenges we have with the Ministry of Finance. What is actually budgeted, unfortunately, is not what they receive, what we receive to transfer to Riders for Health each month. If I remember well, I think $9 million is budgeted monthly, but unfortunately, we've not been receiving that most of the time. So each month, areas keep on accumulating. So that is a problem. So it gets to a level that they also complain and ground some of those vehicles. So it's a challenge. So we certainly would like more support from the Ministry of Finance to ensure that this is carried out. But we think the riders arrangement for now is useful, because then with all our challenges in the health sector, with all the problems we have, we'll now be thinking of fueling an ambulance. The permanent secretary will be called that an ambulance has broken down. The battery has been stolen. The fuel is stolen. The tire is faulty. So all this burden is now on the Riders for Health, and that allows us to concentrate more on other activities. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Wuli East.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister help the National Assembly explain clearly the policy on fuel supply or fuel ration to the community ambulances? How much is provided to each ambulance, and whether that is sufficient for now?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Offhand, I may not be able to remember exactly, but I think it varies depending on the location of the ambulances, because some are far away from some of the communities and some are close by. They have various arrangements and the duration. So we can look at the various regions and provide that information. Of course, we've been aware that a number of them complain that there are shortages, but the expectation is that they will fill in those gaps with the use of the RBF funds. Some regions are doing that, and we don't know why other regions are not doing it, but we'll keep on encouraging them to do so, because the RBF funds should be made available for such. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Banjul South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister has given us a thorough response, which I think I should applaud him for, but I think it's also a bit overambitious. It can be possible with everything being prioritized, but I want to ask the Honorable Minister. He's mentioned that they are looking for ferry ambulances, which I think is very necessary. Looking at the incident that had recently happened in the ferry where we had a patient died crossing from the North Bank to Banjul, and I think that is a necessity. But how feasible is that, and are we going to see that in the budget? And how is it going to be managed and run, since your transport logistics is done by the Riders for Health? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Yes, it's a new area that we may want to venture in, because we totally agree that it's not acceptable for a sick person to be on one side of the river where the health facility is across, and their condition deteriorates. This has gotten better around the North Bank West by the provision of an obstetrician gynecologist in SL and the conduction of cesarean sections in SL. But certainly not all services are available there. So the need to have people being ferried across quickly is still there. So we'll need to do the feasibility study. We'll need to make an assessment, but it's something that we have started thinking of. But we need to do the thorough story. It's not an easy thing, though, without the experience, but we hope we could equally get technical support for that.
Honorable Member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you very much once again for coming back, replying to our recommendation. This is the second time for the records. Honorable Minister, I'm just interested to ask about the community ambulance issue that you've mentioned. What is the way forward to sustain them? Because you keep saying in your reply that you normally have shortfall in your monthly subvention, and it is very difficult to sustain them by doing that. I remember before you were using the COVID fund, which is no more there. So what is the sustainable way of doing it? Wouldn't you include it in the Riders for Health contract under, is it the TRM, Transport Resource Management? I think that will be the solution to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Speaker, I think the community ambulances are very useful. We've seen the difference they've started to make in the lives of the people who are far away from the main roads and the health facilities. For sustainability, we need resources. We need adequate fuel for these ambulances, and we need regular, timely, routine maintenance to be carried out so that they will last for years and years. Without this, it's going to be very difficult. But one thing we also need to ensure is to ensure that the ambulances do ambulance work, because we had reports, and we dealt with those, of people trying to use the ambulances for other things. We had a report of someone taking it across the border, one of the ambulances into Senegal, for whatever reason we don't know, for private reasons, so to say. So those are issues of abuse, and we are dealing with them. But how do we want to deal with it comprehensively? The German government is giving us some support, so we've asked them to help us design and establish an ambulance command center, where these ambulances are going to be, the GPS equipment are going to be installed in all these ambulances, so they will monitor where they are supposed to be. That will also help us monitor the fuel consumption to ensure that fuel is actually used for carrying patients. So increase in the resources, but equally speaking, monitoring to ensure that the resources, the fuel is not wasted. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Janyambure.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for your responses. If I may ask, you have talked about, or you have responded about the issues of ambulances, and I think this is the second time I have been also raising the issue of having an ambulance for Janjambure Major Health Center or Janjambure Health Center. And I want to ask, what are the efforts of the Ministry of Health in ensuring that the people of Janjambure and its surrounding are able to have an access to an ambulance service? Thank you.
Thank you very much. As mentioned earlier, as part of the contract with Riders for Health, after every 5 years, they are supposed to replace the old fleet, the broken down vehicles, and then even if they are not completely broken down, but they are old and they are replaced. That replacement is due now, but because of the arrears we owe them, the government owes them. That is why they are unable to do that. So as soon as we are able to settle those arrears, inshallah, more new ambulances will be procured, and Janjambure will get an ambulance. But we also put in quite some other efforts with partners. The West African Health Organization, African Development Bank, through the West African Health Organization, has some funds, and then that was made, that was brought to us. At least they told us they have some funds where they can support 3 countries in the COVID response: Mali, Gambia, and Niger. So that was a very good news. That was very good. So we put on that list the request we sent to them, 11 ambulances to be procured for us, and they have started that process. So whichever one comes first, inshallah, you get. Yeah.
Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister. I think this August Assembly would be highly interested to know how far you've gone with upgrading health facilities within Sani Mentoring constituency to major health centers, and of course building new facilities, of course minor, to other communities like Bijilo, Tintinto, Kersering, and the surrounding cluster.
Honorable Member, I refuse at all times to make sure that Honorable Member statements are as per the statement of the Honorable Minister. The statement I read, the quotation I read, I re-emphasized and emphasized. And it says, after the statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, It's not a time for adjournment where you ask and say whatever you want about your consequences. Let's limit ourselves to the minister's statement and ask those questions. These are responses to your motions tabled and adopted.
Honorable Speaker, he mentioned in his response that the upgrading of other facilities within the country, the health post. This is why I came up with this question, Honorable Speaker.
You know, he's responding to your questions. That they are on those positions. It's not for you to say, when are you going to do that particular one or that particular one now?
Okay. Then
because otherwise, every member will want to go and talk about his constituency and how much of this is going there. You know, please. Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
Anyway, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, I just wanted to know the status of upgrading the health facilities within Sani Mentoring, especially Sukuta and Brufut. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Speaker, a thorough assessment had been made of the Sukuta Health Center to upgrade it, put up a new structure, a new outpatient unit, and a theater for that matter, so that it can be upgraded, including laboratory services and ultrasound services, imaging services. Unfortunately, because of funding constraints, we were unable to implement that. The plan was to have started that since last year. Now, the facility in Brufut has also been assessed. We visited all these facilities ourselves, and for a similar reason. The Kersering, there is a community facility that's incomplete, and we visited that place. The request was to help upgrade it. Our team has already done the assessment and we're hoping we get funds to be able to do those. So it's not easy. Many of them is the funding challenge. But the window of opportunity is that we've been able to convince Global Fund to first help us do a thorough assessment of all the health facilities in this country so that we properly stratify them. We have what we call health post, what a health post should look like, what equipment should it get, what range of services should it provide, and what level of staff should it get. So World Bank is going to do that for us in a very scientific way, Global Fund in a very scientific way, and then we have a benchmark for all these facilities. And for each facility, then they will identify the gap. So the plan is, in our minds, when World Bank Global Fund finishes with this, we say, yes, well, you yourself, you said this is the problem. So how can you help us resolve some of it? So because it's their document, we believe they will buy into it. And from communication with some of them, some of the staff, they believe that when that document is put forward to Global Fund and other partners, we'll get a lot of buy-in because the document was produced by themselves. So this is our plan, and hopefully before the end of this year, inshallah, they will do that. They will start that assessment, and when they complete, then we can move forward.
Honorable Member for Central Badibu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I know you have talked about the inadequate gynecology doctors in North Bank region, particularly SL. So it's stated in the report that there is only one gynecologist, Gambian doctor. In the short term, solutions, what can you think can be done to solve this problem?
Okay, they are actually, I think they were talking about SL, but nationally there are quite a number of gynecologists, but it's grossly inadequate. So what we are doing, of course, we are training people. And the last time I did say, 5 of our young doctors have become members of the West African College of Surgeons, passing their membership exam in obstetrics and gynecology. That's a big plus for this country. So that training is continuing. So they are going ahead to do their fellowship. But in the interim, we had sought for support from the executive, from His Excellency, to support us further to talk to his Cuban counterpart to get us more doctors. So very soon, inshallah, we'll get more doctors to fill in the gap. The intention is to upgrade these hospitals to become regional hospitals, so that they are able to do the surgical, obstetrics, pediatric, and internal medical services. The same for the Farafenye, Basse, Bansang, Buyam, and Brikam. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Kiang West.
Withdrawn.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I just want to ask, I asked about the community ambulance last time, about how they get their fuels, and then your response was that was with the ministry. But I want to know when they are to refill, are they going to the RHD office at the region, and then for how often they go and fill? Is it weekly or monthly? And how many liters do they take?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Member. I just answered a similar question from the Honorable Member for Wuli East. I don't remember, I don't know exactly how much each of them gets, but it's variable depending on their distances from the referral sites. So these details are typically left to the regional directorates to handle. So those that get the fuel from the central regions, they get it from their regional directorates where the riders is located. You know, Riders for Health, they have fuel dumps across. Now, if they are now going to use their RBF funds, they will certainly get it from the commercial fuel supply, the fuel pumps. So it depends on where they are getting fuel at that particular time, if they use the RBF. But we know the challenges are there. And the challenges, to resolve the challenges, we need the funds. We typically need funds to ensure that they get adequate fuel. However, we also need to monitor that the fuel is not abused by doing other things that is not taking patients. That is why we get in centralized command services for the ambulances. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for ably delivering your statement in response to motions and reports tabled by this Honorable Assembly and adopted, and also thank Honorable members for their contributions and or questions. Honorable Minister, we thank you and we can now release you. Clerk, can we proceed?
Order 100, Oral Minister's Reply. Minister's reply to the report of the National Assembly Standing Committee on Public Petitions on the petition from the Wuli Animal Protection Association on police inaction to stop animal theft in the region by the Honorable Minister for the Interior.
Thank you, honorable members. After the adoption of the Petition Standing Committee's report of the National Assembly on the petition from the Wuli Animal Protection Association on police inaction to stop animal theft in the region during the previous session, the report was submitted to the government and in particular to the Minister for Interior for consideration and reply as per Order 100 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly. Accordingly, honorable members, I now invite the Honorable Minister for Interior, the Honorable Minister of Interior is scheduled today to reply to the report. May I now invite the Honorable Minister for Interior to take the podium and make his statement. Honorable Minister. Who is it?
Point of order.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, point of order on clause 32, permissible interruptions. 32(1)(b), to elucidate on a point of clarification. Mr. Speaker, before we proceed.
Hold on. You are relying on order 32.
32(1)(b).
32(1)(e).
1B.
D.
On a point of clarification, yes, B.
32(1)(b).
Yes. Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, we need to clarify something on this floor, because we cannot leave this assembly today without making it a point to make everybody know that what the minister said needs to be clarified, because the Minister of Tourism stood here and said that there was no fund given by this assembly.
Honorable member,
no,
you are rising on
a point of order.
All right, just listen. Honorable, please. You are rising on standing order 32, permissible interruptions.
Yes. B.
B. It says no member.
B.
It's 1B. It's not yes. B. It's 1B.
Yes.
So it's no member
except
the speaker shall interrupt another member except one, then you have A and B, except yes. B.
On a point of clarification.
To elucidate on a point of clarification some matter raised by another member in the course of his or her speech, provided that the member speaking is willing to give way and resume his or her seat. So this has no bearing. You have the honorable, the one you are talking about has gone. And in fact, if you are to invoke that, the member himself or herself to give you the permission to go ahead.
Speaker, it's two parts. It's to elucidate on a point of clarification, and then the second part on some matter raised by another member.
Yeah, but on another matter, yeah, even there.
For clarification.
honorable member, even there, is subject to the person taking the floor to grant you. And in fact, we are not at that level. That could have been done when the person was on the floor.
Mr. Speaker,
So,
we need to
honorable member,
it
it is please ruled out. Can we now allow the honorable Minister for Interior to proceed? Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, thank you for inviting me to discuss the recommendations of the committee that looked into the report from the Wuli East Animal Protection Association on police inaction to stop animal theft in the region. I'll just go straight to the recommendation. Number one was that the Basse Police Station and Sarengai Station institute effective community policing and network that shall involve Animal Protection Association, chief, alkalolus, and other traditional leaders. According to the concept of community policing, these are all individuals who have been co-opted to deal with community policing issues. Presently, the UNDP is really assisting us, and the community policing unit is going around all the districts trying to sensitize the various communities about this particular aspect of policing so that they can deal with the issues arising in that area. The second recommendation was provision of patrol vehicles for police station and the paramilitary in the area to ensure close tracking of animal rustlers and effect swift arrest. We have a problem with budgetary allocation when it comes to vehicles and so on in many of these areas. I have discussed this here before, and we are very keen to ask our members in National Assembly to really assist us to secure the funds so that we can obtain this. I also want to report that the GIZ has come up with the idea of building about 7 new police stations around the country, and this will be spread over. I don't have the exact locations of these, but 7 new stations are going to be built, similar to what we have at Serekunda and Bundnu. Capacity building for police officers in the region, especially on provisions and implementation of the GLMA Act to ensure a proper documentation and licensing of livestock dealers in the area and develop required knowledge on the implementation of the provisions of the Act. I accept this recommendation, and we will make sure that our officials are trained to really build up their capacity so that they can deal with these issues as they arise. Number 4, the police are advised to enforce all laws enacted by National Assembly, irrespective of whether there is any memorandum of understanding. This is part of the mandate of the police, making sure that all laws are enforced. We do that as much as we can, but sometimes we go to the point of even arresting miscreants and so forth, take them to court, and the cases last forever. So police are doing their role. The Inspector General, number 5, the Inspector General of Police should put in place a posting policy for the police to ensure that officers do not overstay at postings to compromise their effectiveness. It's a very good recommendation, and as far as I am aware, police officers posted in various areas are subject to a system of posting whereby after a certain period they are removed and taken to other areas. I wouldn't deny that sometimes some officers overstay in certain areas, but we will try to rectify that by making sure that is a robust policy in place so that police officers posted in areas do not overstay. I just have to also add that sometimes it's difficult. You have police officers acting very effectively in areas, you want to move them, the communities come again appealing for them to be allowed to stay longer. Sometimes because of various relationships, we allow that to happen, but I think the recommendation is a very good one. Number 6, that is Section 180 of the 1997 Constitution called for the establishment of police council should be reviewed by the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters it's a good recommendation. These are some of the developments that we expect to have a police council. The documents, when I was police advisor, this was something that we discussed seriously, and it will really improve our performance as far as policing is concerned. The Wuli East District should have a police station to help curb animal theft and other crimes. Like I said earlier, there is a desire to build police stations in many areas, but without really funding, we will struggle to do this. Essentially, police coverage throughout the country is a right of every district. So if we can really build police stations in those stations, we will do that. I really appreciate this. In fact, this association met me at the office of the Attorney General, where they expressed their concern about issues arising. And it was during that engagement that I met with some of them and came about with the trying to secure for them a borehole. This came out of personal relationship with them, a promise, and we were able to deliver one. One is still to be delivered. Resolutions 1, that all reported cases of animal theft since 2017, including case involving the motorcycle court from an alleged thief, be investigated by the police and be brought before a competent court of law. I must admit that I am not fully on top of this, but I remember this case, this matter was brought up during the discussion at the Attorney General's chambers, and we'll pursue it so that we make sure that this case is dealt with properly. I don't know whether I'm allowed to name a person here, but a person has been named who was adversely mentioned in all the hearings in Wuli and whose license have been revoked to be permanently banned from trade in animals and butchery. The concern of the community was very clear that most of the time when these things happen, he seems to be involved in all of this, and they really decry that his case is not proceeding anywhere. I will pursue this as well. It was of concern to me as well that an individual whose name keeps on coming up whenever such acts are committed is still continue to do this. But we have a system where police can only arrest and take to court if it goes to court. It is left to the courts to decide what they do. Sometimes we have cases pending in court endlessly, and we really suffer going to court all the time, and they adjourn the case for one reason or the other, and that's the situation. So I thought that was the update I can give. Police and the Ministry of the Interior is committed to make sure that what we are required to do in terms of maintenance of law and order is carried out to the letter. Thank you very much.
On Order 48.6 of the Standing Orders, and I quote once again, honorable members. After the statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, which shall last no more than 1 hour, may then ensue. The Speaker shall determine the period taking into consideration the content of the statement, the number of members wishing to ask, and questions under the pressure of other businesses. May I now invite honorable members to ask questions relating to the Minister's statement. Beginning with the member for Kiang West. Kiang West.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, part of the findings of the committee was police inactiveness to take action against this culprit. Could you kindly tell us what is the action of your ministry against these police officers who refused, without any fear of contradiction, to take any action against this said person?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a valid question, and I will task the IGP to respond to me as to why this finding is not dealt with properly. We as the Ministry of Interior cannot be found wanting when it comes to law enforcement. If a person is found wanting, it should be prosecuted. We will make sure that this action is taken and we report back to Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Wuli East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you mentioned 7 new police stations that you intend to build. And as you know, Wuli does not have a police station. And a lot of these type of crimes are taking place there. So would you consider putting a police station in Wuli East to satisfy the recommendation that is given to you in this report? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In addition to the 7 stations, the police are building 3. Yesterday I was talking about Karantaba, and I've explained to the member for Sami that there was a project to build a station in Sami Karantaba, but there was an issue around ownership, and it was really stopped, and they are going to move to another side. We will really consider all those areas that are really not covered in this aspect. And like I said, this new type of police stations would really change the setup in the police stations, and Wuli should be one of them. Could you please engage me on that so that I can follow it up? Thank you.
Thank you. I know the honorable member for Wuli, that's why he gave his question a preamble to justify the question. You gave it a preamble. Nobody talked about Wuli East in his statement. I let it just go. Honorable member for Busumbala.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, the reports reveals that the police do demand for the memorandum of understanding to be signed before they enforce certain laws. Are you aware of this? And what will be your address to this specific issue?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm not aware that police ask for MOUs before they perform certain duties. What I know is that police have a responsibility to act according to the Police Act and other ordinances in place. So if they are doing it, I would like to know where this happened and we can really deal with the issue. Thank you.
Is in the report.
Honorable member for Nyamina West.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in his deliberation, the Honorable Minister made mention that they are expecting some police stations to be constructed by GIZ, a German company. My question is that hope in your planning of the infrastructure, you will take note of the type of cells you refer to as detention centers, coming from the human rights perspective. As I am in the committee, the size of cells and conditions of cells, hope it will improve from the type that we inherited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Honorable Speaker, the type of police stations that we are trying to build will be completely different from what obtained before. As it is, police stations used to have holding areas right in front at the desk where anybody arrested, anybody can see. But now the concept that we have developed, even as advisor, was that people under investigation are given the privacy they deserve. When you are held, you are kept away from the public area. No one can see you except the officer dealing with you. Anybody trying to visit the detainee or suspect will have to first talk to the police. The first persons we see will be the police officers, and then you talk to them, and from there they can lead you to an interview room where you can talk to somebody on the detention. Now you cannot see all other persons there. Yeah, the cells also are not the common cells that we have. We don't want to call them cells anymore. This is a holding area, but there'll be special cells for difficult prisoners or detainees so that they can really be secured. But the places that have been built are well ventilated and well lit and according to human rights standards. So this extends to even prisons, may I just add. We just want to build a new type of prison where inmates are treated not as to punishment, but for rehabilitation purposes. So we give people their rights. I say this because I have experienced detention myself at Janjambure. I know how difficult it is. I don't want anybody to go through that again. So we try to improve the detention centers in the police stations and the prisons. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Latrikunda Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you. You mentioned police station several times. The issue also happened at the police station. There was this lady that made tribal comments. I took the lady to the police, and as we were talking, an instruction came from top, and I heard the speaker saying, leave him, I don't want to call about this issue. Was it you or Inspector General of Police?
Honorable member for Latrikunda knows well that he is a million miles away from standing orders. But Honorable Minister, are you comfortable to answer that question?
No. No.
It happened in a police station.
Honorable Minister, honorable member, to be honest with you, it's too personal and it's out of the whole,
point of order.
It's out of the whole fabric of the questions and the response of the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minority Leader and Member for Brikama North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, ever since you received the report, did you discuss the report with the IGP? And if no, why? And does your ministry consider investigating issues relating to inaction of the police?
Indeed, whenever we have communication coming from any quarter, we send our own questions to the Office of the Inspector General, if it is from there, and we expect response from them. Unfortunately, I was caught off because yesterday I came, I was not expecting this. Today I was in cabinet until I got a call that I needed to attend today. I would have come up with more answers. But yes, whenever a query comes pertaining to any of my land departments, I have an interest in asking, and I ask them direct questions, and I expect to get answers from them. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you've talked about the capacity building for police officers in your response. When do you intend to do this, and how is the funding? Will the Gambia government do that funding for the capacity building, and also the duration, if possible? Thank you. I mean, you've talked about the capacity building for police officers or the servicemen. when do you intend to do this? And how about the funding? Will the government fund this for them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have ongoing trainings with the Gambia Police Force and other line departments, DCAF, GIZ, the German Police Support Team, as well as our own local officials are doing all they can to really boost the capacity of the police force. When I was coming to the police force, I came in with a GCE certificate, school certificate. But now you will find that among the police you have people with masters, LLB, you know, and BSc in the system. The police also are looking for trying to change the type of training we have. The idea is to create a police village, a training village where every individual who comes to the service goes for a basic training and they can now graduate to other types of specialized training. So these are some of the plans we have, and the discussions are really advanced. We are hoping to get assistance from our partners. But it's our concern that we move on. But the police, as it used to be when I came in to the service, and now are completely different. We find a lot of really very good officers with capacity in many aspects. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Sami.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, according to your report, when some officers overstay, there could be something there. Did you have a posting policy in your ministry?
Yeah, posting policy. The police, when I was a police officers are posted over a period of 2 years, and sometimes they can be given an extended period. This is a norm. Like I said, though, in some jurisdictions, you have a police officer who is very effective in the way he does his job, and the community will come out strongly in support. I can talk about, I think it's Yundum area, a police traffic officer was so active in that area, the community came out, it's your area, and they gave him a motor bicycle, they bought him new uniform and everything. I even built a post there when it was just a traffic checkpoint. So these sort of things happen, and they come with recommendations to the police command and say, we don't want this person to go because we found him very useful. So police do sometimes lean over backwards and really do this. But that is a policy in place to deal with postings. Because the longer some people stay in some places, they become a little bit more comfortable to do certain things. We frown on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for delivering your statement. Speaker. Who is talking? Huh? Kiang West, yes. Kiang West.
I want clarification on something.
You want to?
I want clarification on something.
There are people who are, in fact, to speak. We just put it off.
But it's on clarification on what the minister has just...
Honorable Member, the time is up for questions, clarifications, or inputs. Honorable Minister, once again, on behalf of the membership, we want to thank you for delivering your statement in response to the adopted reports of the various committees, and to honorable members for your contributions, your very rich contributions to clear some of the doubts we have. Honorable Minister, we will now release you, and thank you very much. Clerk, can we proceed?
Orders 13 and 54. Motion on the adjournment debate. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned signed by the Honorable Minority Leader and Member for Birkama North.
Honorable members, in accordance with the provisions of Orders 13.5 and 54.1 of the standing orders, Banjul. Honorable member, can I just finish my statement and then I give you the floor? In accordance with provisions of Orders 13.5 and 54.1 of the Standing Orders, the Honorable Minority Leader and Member for Brikama North will move a motion for the Assembly to adjourn, sign, die. Before allowing him to do so, I wish to draw the attention of the Assembly to Order 54.3 of the Standing Orders, which reads, and I quote, "During the debate on the motion on the adjournment of a session, no member shall speak more than 15 minutes, except that the Speaker may, at his or her discretion, allow the mover of the motion extra time for his or her reply. Due to the exigency of time, I wish to appeal to honorable members to be judicious in their interventions as well as to avoid repetitive deliberations. Finally, honorable members, I remind honorable members to take note of the relevant provisions of the standing orders regarding the adjournment debate. May I now invite the minority leader to move the motion for this assembly to adjourn, sign, die. But before I do so, let me hear from the honorable member for BANJUL South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move a motion under Section 53K, motions which may be made without notice, a motion agreed by the Speaker to be a matter of urgency. Mr. Speaker, we all know that Parliament work can never be exhausted, and we have had a very extensive session with the SONA where everything was basically debated, and yesterday's session when ministers addressed their various departments. Mr. Speaker, I want to move a motion that we adjourn without debate. Thank you.
Honorable member, it been moved. The assembly adjourn, sign, die without a debate. Any seconder?
Honorable Speaker, point of observation. Honorable Speaker, point of order.
Any seconder to the motion?
Point of order.
Honorable member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion. Honorable Sir, please behave. This chamber does not belong to you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker.
All right, it has been moved.
Honorable Speaker, point of order.
Point of order?
Yes.
Can you?
Honorable Speaker, the motion on signer died. Order 54. 54. Point order 4. 54.
Order 54.
Yes. The minority
Speaker,
leader,
point of order.
The minority leader must be allowed.
All right, honorable member, just take your time, please. And honorable members, please listen to him. Please. Honorable member, order 54 what?
54 1. On the completion of business at the assembly sitting of each session, the majority leader or minority leader, or in their absence, any other member shall move the motion for the debate on the adjournment. The minority leader did not in fact move. So before we go to the second motion, he has to move. From there, he can move her motion. That's the rule.
All right, honorable. Yellow. Honorable members, honorable member for Central Badibu, I did make a statement. I made a statement that the minority leader would move a motion for the Assembly to adjourn sine die. And there was a motion tabled, and the motion was tabled. Even if it passes, it will not prevent the minority leader from moving a motion for the Assembly to adjourn sine die and be seconded. That has to come. So I don't know what are your fears. What the motion is saying, no debate. But the motion for the Assembly to move sine die will come.
I want debate, so let's vote on the motion.
Honorable members, it has been moved and seconded that this Assembly is to stand adjourn sine die without debate. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no.
No.
The ayes have it.
No, call division.
Yes, honorable member for Central. Honorable member for Central Badibu.
We call for division.
Honorable members, now we will count. Honorable members, we will count those in favor and those against. Now, those in favor of the motion, please raise your tags. You've got the figure? Honorable members, those against the motion, please raise your tags. Honorable members, the results of the votes. Those in favor, aye, 20 votes. Those not in favor, the noes, 12 votes. So the ayes have it. I will now invite the Honorable Minority Leader and Member for Brikama North to move the motion for the Assembly to adjourn sine die without a debate. Honorable Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move the motion for the adjournment of this August Assembly.
Honorable Minority, just give me a chance. Honorable members. Honorable members. Thank you. Honorable Minority.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move for the adjournment of this August Assembly, signed in accordance with Orders 13.5 and 54.1 of the Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, aware that this August Assembly began sitting during the second ordinary session, can you please? Honorable Speaker, aware that this August Assembly began sitting during the second ordinary session from the period 5th June to today, 22nd June 2023, and further appreciating that this August Assembly has during this session dealt with almost all the businesses scheduled in the agenda. I invite support for this timely motion. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Throughout the deliberations of the Assembly during the second ordinary session, the Assembly considered and adopted records of votes and proceedings of the daily sittings as required by Order 35-2 of the Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, considering sections 77(1) and 4 of the 1997 Constitution and Standing Order 24, and this Assembly's quest to ensure greater scrutiny and accountability towards the executive, we continue the hospitable but thoughtful interaction with the executive, receiving His Excellency the President of the Republic, who attended a sitting and addressed the Assembly on condition of the Gambia and policies of the government and the administration of the state on Thursday, 8 June 2023. In a similar deposition, the Assembly administered oral questions and answer session with honorable ministers as it concerns their respective portfolios, departments, agencies, according to Standing Order 41. The honorable ministers appeared before this Assembly to answer orally to questions asked by honorable members, for which the honorable ministers were duly notified. Honorable Speaker, I note and commend the appearance of the following honorable ministers. One, His Excellency the Vice President and Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Honorable Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, Honorable Minister for Petroleum and Energy, Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Minister for Basic and Secondary Education, Honorable Minister for Tourism and Culture, Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, Honorable Minister for Defense, Honorable Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, Honorable Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, Honorable Minister for Lands, Regional Government, Honorable Minister for Transport Works and Infrastructure, Honorable Minister for Interior, and Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. On a similar note, and pursuant to Standing Order 100, the following honorable ministers presented replies to the following parliamentary reports. One, the Honorable Minister for Health replied to the report of the National Assembly Select Committee on Health, Disaster, Humanitarian Relief, and Refugees visit to some health centers, regional health directorate, and disaster support areas across the country from 29 June to 6 July 2022. And to the Honorable Minister for Tourism and Culture, who replied to the report of the National Assembly Select Committee on Tourism, Arts and Culture, to visits to the tourism sites across the country from 17 to 25th October 2022. Three, the Honorable Minister for Interior's replied to the report of the National Assembly Standing Committee on Public Petitions on the petition from the Wuli Annual Protection Association on Police Inaction, Stop Annual Theft in the region. Honorable Speaker, this August Assembly witnessed the tabling, consideration, adoption of the following motions. One, motion for the ratification of the Constitution of the International Civil Defense Organization, July 2018, led by His Excellency the Vice President, and two, motion to ratify the agreement between the government of the Republic of the Gambia and the government of the Republic of Turkey on military training cooperation led by Honorable Minister for Defense. And 3, motions for ratification of revolving line of credit agreement between the government of the Republic of the Gambia and Badia for trade finance facility for importation of petroleum products, food and other essential commodities from African and Arab countries, amounting to a tune of $50 million US. The financing agreement between the government of the Gambia and Badia for the University of the Gambia project, phase 2, amounting to $16 million US, and the financial agreement between the government of the Gambia and Islamic Development Bank for widening of battle-hardened highway project, phase 2, amounting to $15.31 million US, all tabled by Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, and motion for creation of new CFO districts in West Coast region in line with redemarcation of constituencies order 2015, section 58.2 of the 1997 Constitution and section 133.2 of the Local Government Act, passed by Honorable Minister for Lands and Regional Government. Fifthly, motion on the State of Nation Address 2023 by His Excellency the Vice President of the Republic. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, in terms of bills, this August Assembly consider and or pass the following bills during the session. 1, Legal Practitioners Amendment Bill 2023 and Intellectual Property Bill 2023 by Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, who read for the first and second time. And 2, Labor Bill 2023 by Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, has also gone to the consideration stage, read a third time and passed. And 3, Anti-Corruption Bill 2019 by Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, at consideration stage, but suspended. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the following reports of the undermentioned parliamentary committees were considered and adopted. 1, report of the Select Committee on Agriculture on financing agreement between the government of the Gambia and the Islamic Development Bank on the regional soil fertility mapping project, amounting to $1 million US, March 2023 by Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, and 2, report of the Select Committee on Regional Government Lands, Ombudsman, and IEC to rural councils from the 5th to 10th October 2022 by Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, and 3, report of the Standing Committee on Public Enterprises on the Performance Audit Report by the Auditor General on provisions of water in urban and peri-urban and provincial growth centers by NAWIC and management of Social Security funds by Social Security, March 2023 by Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, and 4, report of the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, visit to detention facilities across the country in September 2022 by Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, and 5, report of the Select Committee on Environment and NGO Affairs, oversight visit to fish landing sites across the country in October 2022 by the Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, 6, report of the Gambian delegation to first ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament held in Abuja, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the period 8 to 26 May 2023 by the head of the delegation, and 7, report of the Select Committee on Agriculture, Rural Development, nationwide visit to intervention sites in September 2022 by the Chairperson of the Committee, 8, report of the Select Committee on Gender, Children, and Social Welfare, spot check to pediatric maternity and lab wards on Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital and Children's Center in Bakote from 13 to 14 February 2023 by the chairperson of the committee. And finally, report of the Select Committee on Education Training, ICT site visit to selected educational institution, Naga Pura, from 11 to 16 October 2022 by the chairperson of the committee. Finally, Honorable Speaker, today this August Assembly is here to commence the motion to adjourn sign and die. I have had the opportunity on the last adjournment debate to speak on the trust and confidence bestowed on this Assembly by the citizens, with its corresponding expectation, and assure citizens that it is well within the notice of this August Assembly. Through this motion, I wish to reiterate this assurance to fellow citizens. Therefore, once again, I would like to seize this opportunity on behalf of both halves of the Assembly to assure citizens of our beloved country of the unwavering commitment of this August Assembly to serve the supreme interests of the nation diligently, without fear or favor, affection or ill will of any kind. This Assembly takes special notice of the continued public outcry on allegations of corruption in public offices and the special attention placed on Anti-Corruption Bill 2019, which recently has still once again at the consideration stage. It has been more than 3 years, and understandably, this August Assembly understands the frustration of the citizenry on the slow progress of this bill. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, collectively, we can overcome the economic, security, and other social challenges we face as people and nation. In our national conversation on all matters concerning our beloved country, most especially on matters of security, we must, as people, especially National Assembly members, be cautious in our public utterance because the implications will be enormous. As we look forward to celebrating the Tobaski, I call on all citizens, especially businessmen, to be considerate and fair in their dealings with the state. All persons should desist from price hiking, overpricing, and all other exploitative maneuvers that are detrimental to the welfare of the people and the state. I call on the executive to stay awake to realities of the plight of the citizens in terms of economic, social challenges, rising crimes, unexplained deportation of our citizens from several European countries, the poor state of the sporting facility, deteriorating education, agriculture sector, growing agitation and impatience of citizenry for meaningful and realistic security sector reform. Honorable Speaker, while I thank fellow honorable members for foresight and dedication to duty during this session, I must, like in the previous session, challenge all of us, individually and collectively as an assembly, to reflect on the need for stronger commitment and dedication to the principal functions of this legislature. We must remind ourselves that notwithstanding the diverse and sometimes cumbersome engagement members are faced with, we cannot negate our core functions, especially as it relates to attending sittings. I therefore once again call for renewed commitment by all of us to the service of our beloved republic. It doesn't speak well of this Assembly's repute to lack quorum at any stage of its sittings. We must continually reflect on our duty and execute it with the highest diligence. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, thank you for the manner in which you have continued to handle the affairs of this assembly competently and professionally. I pray that Allah the Almighty grants you the strength and wisdom to continue steering the affairs of this assembly. I equally extend the same appreciation to the Deputy Speaker for competently deputizing for you severally during this session. Thank you. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I also would like to appreciate the Clerk of the National Assembly, his deputies, table office, and the entire staff of the National Assembly Service for all the support and services rendered to honorable members during this session. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Brikama North and Minority Leader. Any seconder, the Honorable Member for Old Yundum and Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I equally rise to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the mover of the motion, the Honorable Member for Brikama North and the Minority Leader, and the seconder of the motion, the Honorable Member for Old Yundum and Deputy Majority Leader, and indeed all honorable members. This brings us to the end of this ordinary session, but the committee oversight works continues. Before putting the question for this assembly to adjourn sine die, I wish on behalf of both sides of this assembly, and indeed on my own behalf, thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic, for his well-delivered statement to this assembly in his State of the Nation address during the course of this session. Equally, honorable members, on behalf of both sides of the assembly, and indeed on my own behalf, register our appreciations to His Excellency the Vice President and honorable ministers for their cooperation during this ordinary session. I also wish to reiterate and express our thanks and appreciation to the media fraternity, our friends, as they are the medium through which the work of this assembly and its committees reach the people. Your cooperation and partnership is indeed valuable and is always cherished, and we hope it will continue. Honorable members, once again, we are indebted and grateful to the clerk and staff of the National Assembly Service for their continued and invaluable services. Honorable members, happy Tobaski celebrations in advance to all of you. Honorable members, I now put the question. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned sine die. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. This Assembly now stands adjourned sine die.